episode of the Hardcore Soft Skills Podcast. This is Eddie Caro, and in each episode, you will learn how to apply a different skill with the help of an expert. We are counting down to episode 100, and I'm reviewing some of the best advice we have heard on this podcast. You can listen to all the interviews that I've had on this podcast via my website, and while you are there, sign up to my newsletter to receive more information, advice, and find out about coaching opportunities. So go to hardcoresoftsskillspodcast.com. If there is a skill I need help with, and I am sure you do too, is how to deal with difficult people. People who either may come at you screaming or be condescending, or who may simply be considered plain crazy. Hey, well, sometimes we may be the crazy person in a situation. So I had the honor to speak with a psychiatrist about it and who has authored multiple books, including one called Talking to Crazy. Dr. Mark Goulston gave critical techniques on how to act during a moment of heated conversation. Please listen to this whole interview, but if you want to just listen to a highlight of this conversation, listen to this excerpt. He was very engaging in conversation, so I had to play a long clip. So please listen to this advice and let me know if you attempted to apply it. Let's listen. Based on your book, Talking to Crazy, one of the things that struck me as I started reading the book was the concept of, when dealing or engaging with people that are difficult, either that plain crazy, perhaps, the idea of not avoiding, but truly engaging with them. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Right. First of all, I have to say that when the book came out, Talking to Crazy, I got a lot of pushback from the psychiatry field and the psychology field. And they said, we have so much stigma. How could you write a book titled Talking to Crazy? And it's not about mental illness. In fact, the last chapter I talk about it, I'd like to think of myself as very compassionate with mental illness, having dealt with depressed and suicidal people for 30 plus years. And so when they used to push back, I'd say, it's not about mental illness. It's about difficult people. And I'd say, have you read the book? And they would say, no. I said, well, one of the reasons I use that title is you wouldn't have called me with a different title. And I'll share a little piece of marketing advice, although I don't know if your listeners care about that. A friend of mine designed Disney Tokyo and Disney Paris, and he shared with me a concept called mental real estate. And mental real estate means when you take something that's familiar, you get into people's minds, and then when you twist it, you have mental real estate. So as he told me, Pirates of the Caribbean owns the words pirates in the minds of kids. So Disney owns the word pirates. Talking to Crazy has a fair amount of mental real estate. When I told people I was writing it, people would say, I need that book today. Why? I talk to people who drive me crazy every day. Do you have a chapter if you're the one who's crazy? I said, sure, we handle that. And here's another sample of the power of mental real estate. I spoke in Moscow 4 years ago with Daniel Kahneman, and he wrote Thinking Fast and Slow, Nobel Prize winner, big guy, big deal. I'm just a psychiatrist from California. What do I know? And I asked them, why do you have me headlining with a Nobel Prize winner? They said, his book did not go viral. That's because, thinking of mental real estate, the Russian edition of Talking to Crazy, the title is How to Talk to A-Holes. And it went viral. I mean, I went into bookstores and I said, do you carry this book? And they say, oh, it's the guy who wrote Talking to A-Holes. Come over here, take a picture with us. So, but anyway, that's a side tangent. But I do want to give some practical advice because that's what your listeners are listening for. And again, thank you if you've stayed listening for this long. I appreciate that. And I feel sorry for you, but I appreciate it if you listen. So here's some practical advice about the people that drive us crazy. One of the things that they all have in common, and this is the yellers, the screamers, the complainers, the whiners, the people who stonewall us, is they push us from our frustration to our anger to our rage. And most people are uncomfortable with feeling rage. You know, it makes you very uncomfortable. And I recently did an article for Newsweek, and I came up with a concept called the outrage enrage bifurcate. And what that means is some people will hit us with outrageous behavior, and inside it threatens to trigger us to becoming enraged. But most of us are so uncomfortable becoming enraged that we will do everything we can to push it down. And that's how difficult people get the better of us, is they will push us into our rage, and we will just use everything we can to keep from reacting and yelling or screaming at them because we want to. And so if you're dealing with people like this, this is what you do. If you're listening to this episode, take out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of the piece of paper, and on the left side, write down all the people that help you, all the people that want to support you, all the people that believe in you. And on the other side of the page, write down all the people that drive you crazy, all the people that frustrate, anger, and enrage you. And here's the tip. Never expect those difficult people not to be difficult. If they're not difficult, you lucked out. But always expect them to somehow try to trigger you so they can get out of doing something, or they can get you to do something you don't want to do. And you'll do it sometimes just to get them away from you. And so when you have that list of people, never expect them to not push you, and always hold a part of yourself back. So that doesn't mean being a robot, but knowing that they're going to do that. When they do it, you can chuckle to yourself and say, wow, it's just what that psychiatrist said. They just did it again. Wow, it's amazing. You don't want to smile because you'll provoke them. And then after they do that, pause for a few seconds. And they're going to get very nervous because they were expecting to provoke you and it didn't work. So you pause for at least 2 seconds. And then here are some of the comebacks. Could you repeat that because my mind wandered? Or could you say that to me kind of in a calmer voice? Because the way you said it to me, I don't know, you reminded me of someone from the past. I just started thinking about them. I didn't even hear what you said. So could you say that back to me in a calmer voice? So I could hear it better. Or the simplest thing to do is just tilt your head and go, huh? But do you follow what I'm saying? And then watch them, and they may get agitated. And if they get agitated, you can say, you can say, oh, take a moment and say that to me in a calm voice because it sounded important. And if you want me to listen to it without reacting, you gotta say it to me in a calm voice. Then my other advice to you is go back to your list and look at the people that you wrote down that care about you. And make a point to reach out to them and thank them for being in your life. Because one of the worst things we can do in life is to let all the difficult people take up so much of our mind that we forget to thank the good people.